Oh boy.
He's like, yes, I love how they molest the little kids like that. Go get them, Boy Scouts. Go get them, priests.
What is up, gang? John Claymore here, and of course, this video right here is going to be let's just go ahead and say this is going to be on both YouTube and it's going to be on Rumble, which, by the way, I will try to leave you guys a link to, but for whatever reason, even though I've posted about 4 or 5 unedited videos to Rumble already, I cannot exactly get the link put in the description box, but don't worry, I will be finding a way to get that in the description box, especially for this video here. Now, guys, this video here is going to be relatively long, and of course, we're going to go over this Tim Pool, Cenk Younger little fray that's going on, but that right there is going to come in the second half of the video, which, by the way, is going to make up about 2/3 of this video, but there's also some takes that have got to be, let's just say, have got to be gone through. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard about the, let's just call it a shooting at the Club Q gay bar in Colorado Springs, Colorado. By the way, Colorado, very, very much a gun-controlled state based upon its laws. So, of course, we're going to hear the whole gun control rhetoric stuff. I'm going to give you guys some background on that, and then we're going to get to Cenk and we're going to get to Tim both, because there is, in fact, a lot to go through here, because let's just be honest, anything involving Cenk Younger requires a lot of unboxing, because normally it's about 95% bullcrap. However, we do got to go through this incident in Colorado, and we got to go through the media's reaction. Of course, it will not take long, but here's the long and short of it. So Anderson Lee Aldrich, a 22-year-old man who right now is claiming he's non-binary, we'll get to that in a second, shot 5 in a gay bar in Colorado, the Club Q nightclub. Now, many people automatically started associating this gay bar with the G word, because apparently they had an event for the next day, a drag show, which, by the way, I've already told you guys before, I'm going to try to do a lot less of those videos to keep from getting those phantom strikes. And, of course, we're going to focus on society at large, where those videos right there would be for the more unedited, the unedited section of my collection, which, by the way, would be on Rumble, because there's a little bit more freedom on what to actually say and what you can say there. But the thing is this right here, 5 people got killed. And, of course, and for whatever reason, they chose not to go to the gun control argument right away. Speaking of which, there was a shooting in Virginia, so we're waiting on the gun control rhetoric to kind of like just pick up here in a second. But the thing is this right here, this is the thing that people need to understand. This guy right here is claiming to be non-binary. So a member of the LGBTQ community, whom, by the way, was already under suspicion by law enforcement, had been arrested back in June of 2021, is claiming that he is non-binary. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play this reaction from CNN from Allison Camerata first, and then I'm going to come right back to this, okay? Let's just go ahead and just run this.
Attorneys for the accused shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich, say in new court filings tonight that the suspect now identifies as non-binary. In a footnote to a motion asserting legal privileges, the public defenders say, quote, Anderson Aldrich is non-binary. They use they, them pronouns, and for the purposes of all formal filings will be addressed as Mix Aldrich. So, in other words, not Mr. or Ms.
Obviously, there was some level of shock. Now, guys, I'm going to try to leave that full clip in the description box of this video here, because CNN did bring a legal analyst out a little bit later on, like right after that was said by Allison Camerata. They did bring one out who said that they believe that this individual is going to be using this as a defense, of course, to stave off possible hate crime. Now, here's the thing, and I want to go ahead and make this very, very clear, because even I did not think about this before this whole thing started with kids being sent to drag shows, which, by the way, I blame the parents more, because, and don't worry, parenting is also going to be a part of this video as well. The thing you have to understand is this right here. If there's anybody in the world that is not politically correct, it is actually the drag community. Let me explain. They walk around in dresses, they flaunt, of course, they do all this stuff right here. They may be gay, they may not be gay. Of course, there are some drag queens that are not gay, but now they're in front of children. You would think, if anything, they would actually be against this, and they would actually be against the whole woke ideology, which is nothing more than just good old-fashioned pure political correctness. Now, guys, I have made this point perfectly clear when it comes to this issue. I do not blame the people who are actually doing it. I blame the parents for carrying their kids to go see this. You see, I've said this on multiple occasions. If you carry kids to these type of events, they will eventually be traumatized. They do not need to be around it. I'm pretty sure YouTube will not strike this channel for me saying this. But the thing is this right here. the parents are the ones who are carrying their kids to them. The parents are the ones who are actually getting off on this. The parents are the ones who actually like this stuff. The kids, quite frankly, don't even know what the hell is going on. Like I said before, this right here is the type of stuff that will come up when a child is, say, a teenager, a late teenager, or a grown adult, and eventually they're going to be wondering why it is that they're traumatized, and they may eventually begin to hate their families as a result of this. Which brings me to another point. You see, the mere fact that this guy is claiming that he is non-binary when it's very possible he may not be non-binary, you've kind of created a problem here. As I've said before, it's not just the wokeness agenda. It's also the fact that certain individuals may try to use this as an excuse to get away with crimes. Go back to 2020. Everybody kind of laughed at me for saying this, but go back to the whole mask wearing thing. Don't you think it's possible that maybe some people, maybe some criminals may try to commit crimes while wearing a mask, so that way they'd be less identifiable? I know this where it may sound like it's not on topic, but I'm just using it as an example. Do you think maybe it's possible that maybe somebody may use a certain lifestyle as a cover to, I don't know, maybe get away with stuff? I mean, I did do a video a while back where Matt Walsh had brought the fact that it was a teacher in Michigan who got caught trying to solicit himself on minors. That individual later on tried to use the fact that he was a part of the LGBTQ lifestyle as an excuse to cover up what he was doing. Yes, I know I can't actually say the words, me, myself. I can always show somebody else saying it, but I can't actually say the words without YouTube possibly laying a strike. I'm just saying that you may have created a problem here, meaning that you've actually created an outlet for certain people who have very, very nefarious means to use this said lifestyle as a crutch and as an excuse to get them off later on in life. I just figure I would throw that out there. And of course, we got to go to the actual parenting angle of this. Now, I'm going to switch gears just for a second before we get to Cenk and Tom. Here's the thing, okay. I said in the video that I did the other day on the Colorado shooting, I said this the other day. I said that the biggest problem that we've had, especially with a lot of these mass shooters, is, and of course, we love to blame the gun. Everybody loves to blame the gun and not actually look at the person. But I've always said that the person that you might want to take a look at the most is actually the parents. Am I spending time with my kids? Am I doing anything? Take the Uvalde shooter, for example. He was not around his actual parents. He was staying with his grandfather, who had been a con, not trying to make fun of his grandfather or anything. I'm just saying he was not living in his house. There's no civic nationalism. There's no actual love for your community. No actual like for your actual fellow human being. And to go on top of that, people love to blame video games, which I think that the biggest problem there is not video games itself. It's the fact that parents allow somebody to sit in front of something and it allows them to get actually desensitized over time. That has always been my argument when people like to bring up the whole video game angle. It's not the video game itself. It's the fact that the parent is letting the child be raised by the video game. The same way parents, in a lot of ways, actually allow their kids to be raised by what? The television, okay? Actually take time with your kids. Actually spend time with them. I understand it. It's kind of hard, especially considering that you have to work and hold down a job. But please, by God, take time, spend time with your kids, and these type of events are less likely to occur. Which brings me to another point, and don't worry, like I said, we will be getting to Tim, we'll be getting to Cenk, of course, they'll be behind the computer for the vast majority of that. Here's the thing about the parenting thing. I've noticed looking at some data, and of course, we'll probably do another video on this at a later date. I've noticed that school shootings as a whole, which, by the way, we don't mention the shootings that happen in Chicago and New York every day, but I've noticed that the uptick started sometime in the 70s and the 80s. The real reason why it actually started there is probably because, well, people were starting to get glued to that television. Okay, and I'm not blaming images on TV or anything. Like I said before, television can actually be used for good. Video games can actually be used for good. It is when parents become reliant upon said devices to occupy and raise their children that children eventually become a little bit on the, let's just say they become desensitized. As I've said before, desensitization. So here's the deal. Number one, this whole issue with kids going to drag queen shows, I actually blame the parents more for that right there. You should not be carrying your child to there. You should not be traumatizing your kid. And number two, if you really and truly want to get to the heart of this whole school shooter thing, look at the parents. And yes, I understand that some of these guys are 22 years old and a few of them have been a little bit older, but maybe you should actually take a look at it and see exactly what it was that desensitized them to have no actual feeling for their fellow man. I mean, killing somebody is a pretty big deal. I mean, dude, I'm a prior service U.S. Marine. I was trained to kill, and even in the back of my mind, I, to a certain degree, had I wouldn't say had a problem, but I definitely, if after doing the act, would probably have felt a little bit sick. Now, with that right there being said, let's go ahead and get to Cenk versus Tom. Which, of course, brings us to Tim versus Cenk. Now, guys, here's the deal. This here's what happened. Yesterday, on his 1 o'clock segment, Tim Pool was bringing up the fact that he had people in his chat, his Twitter account. By the way, I ain't got time to look through all the replies to him. Where they basically were saying, well, I got people who are calling for violence, and I've got people who are cheering on what happened. By the way, YouTube, I'm not doing that. I'm just telling the story. And of course, Cenk, who, by the way, TYT, and I've got to make this point about TYT. TYT the other night only had 12,000 viewers during their election live stream. By the way, TYT has got roughly close to 6 million subscribers, and they actually are a channel on YouTube TV, but Cenk can only get 12,000 live stream viewers. So I'm pretty sure you guys have a pretty good idea of where a lot of his meltdowns come from, that they are done for effect so that way he can get views. So Tim, of course, in his segment, he brought up the fact that the Club Q nightclub had a Facebook page that mentioned a child drag show, or it was perceived to be. Don't worry, we'll get to that here soon. So basically, you start seeing all kinds of posts saying that, well, no, they was not what they were having. They were having a drag reading for kids. A drag reading for kids? Do you see any actual difference between the two? You see, I'm of the opinion that children should not be brought before this nonsense because, as I've said before on multiple occasions, you are traumatizing the literal hell out of the child. That right there has always been my stance and always will be my stance. Tim Pool, even though I criticize him from time to time, he basically has the exact same feeling. Of course, Cenk, on the other hand, being the left-wing zealot that he is, he's obviously got to come out here and he's got to go after right-wingers and blame anything and everything on the right because he does not have the ability to look inward. Don't worry, we will be doing an actual project in the near future on why it is that leftists are the forebearers of the vast majority of mental illness in this country. Now, with that right there being said, let's hop behind the computer and let's take a look at this nonsense.
A-hole shot up a gay bar. Frankly, a lot of people are trying to
Actually, Cenk, we don't have to tolerate those people. We don't have to tolerate them at all. They're coming after our kids. This is the level of insanity that we're dealing with here, folks.
us we need to tolerate pedophiles seem to be happy to use any excuse to silence their opposition.
I'm sure he had that take when it came to getting Roy Moore elected in the Senate in Alabama.
No,
right?
Okay, really quick. If you don't remember who Roy Moore is, he's the 2018 Alabama Senate candidate that did not win. He had a lot of he had a lot of accusers on him. Of course, some of this got debunked, and a good portion of this would later on show up in court when Roy Moore actually sued the DNC and actually won. By the way, Tim Pool, I remember that because I kind of got warmed up to Tim right around that time. He lambasted Roy Moore constantly. He never supported him or anything. He may support him now, or he may agree that obviously the accusers were wrong, but Tim Pool never, ever, not one time supported Roy Moore. I want to go ahead and make that perfectly clear. Also, the right-wing accusations, don't worry, we'll be taking care of that here soon because you know it's coming.
Loves pedophiles.
They love it.
And I'll explain that in a second. So then Tim Pool responds, because there's no end to the depravity of right-wing media. He says, we shouldn't tolerate pedophiles grooming kids. Club Q had a grooming event.
How is it a grooming event? It's a drag show at a mind your own goddamn business. There's no kids there. Consenting adults can do whatever the hell they please. They don't need your...
Yes, consenting adults can do whatever they please. However, here's the deal. When it comes to actually taking kids, which, by the way, they did advertise, Club Q did advertise on their Facebook page. We will get to that here shortly. They did. I mean, this, like I said before, it's a little bit off, but here's the deal, though. Parents should not be carrying their kids to this thing. By the way, this right here is kind of sort of what I mean when I say that liberals don't have kids, so therefore they don't seem to understand what it is like to have a child and actually protect the child. Anna, of course, is one of those. By the way, Anna, you really and truly should not be one to talk about this issue, especially when you're right beside a guy who denies the Armenian genocide even occurred when you yourself are Armenian.
Goddamn permission. Oh, do we need permission from grifters now to enjoy our adult lives? Is that what we need? I need permission from Beanie Boy Tim Pool to go to a drag show?
And by the way,
shut up and sit down, Tim. How about that? How about that? Always involved in everyone's personal life and personal business. Didn't say a peep when it came to Roy Moore fondling 13-year-old girls and molesting them. Not a peep, because it's all about political power. It's all about getting your guys elected into Congress. And don't give me any of that garbage about how, no, I'm not on the right. I'm not on the right. I just spew right-wing propaganda all day and all night. I'm not on the right. Shut up and sit down.
I'm not debating that. He's a monstrous right-winger. He's a...
Really, really quick, while we're all laughing at Cenk's facial expression, I want to go ahead and throw this out here. Tim Pool is still very, very much in favor of free health care. He was a Bernie bro back in 2016. He did vote for Donald Trump, of course, in 2020. But at that point in time, he was kind of shifting himself to a more moderate position. Here's the truth about Tim. Tim still has a lot of very, very left-wing views. And as far as this guy right here, yeah, him. This is the same guy who slams Jimmy Dore, claiming that he is right-wing when Jimmy Dore is literally of the Blame America crowd. Jimmy Dore is further to the left than Cenk Unger is. The same exact way that Glenn Greenwald is. If you guys know about the whole Jimmy Dore forced to vote thing, that whole thing, that whole crap that stems all the way back from there, Cenk goes out of his way to slam his former employees, who, by the way, are further to the left than he is. By the way, not a fan of Jimmy either. His politics are terrible. All right, I'm just figuring I'd just throw this out here because this is the level of insanity that we have to deal with. By the way, this also fuels in my theory about why is that we should not be doing any debates.
Terrible person. Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, look, on jaywalking, I'm progressive, but I think we should all gay people are pedophiles and groomers, and we should all attack them and just do all these horrible things so we can goad our lunatic audience. And yes, Tim Pool, Matt.
Nobody believes, yeah, I gotta laugh at this. Nobody believes that all gay people are pedophiles or anything. Nobody believes that at all. However, we will be doing a deep dive into child molestation here probably before the end of this year, seeing I've already written down like 9 projects to do. So no, not everybody believes that. Once again, Cenk is another guy who's never even had a conversation with anybody even remotely to the right of him.
Tucker Carlson, you all have lunatics in your audience and you weaponize them and you know it. I mean, look at him. I'll finish the tweet to be fair. How do we prevent the violence and stop the grooming, he says. Oh, in other words, well, I didn't quite like the way he murdered all those people, but hey, I really like the fact that he attacked these people that I'm calling groomers.
Or it could be the fact that maybe he doesn't want to see people get killed, but at the same time, he doesn't want to see people, groom kids. Maybe that there could be what it is.
Based on nothing. I mean, he said it. Club Q had a grooming event. He said, it's not a god.
First of all, idiot, he didn't actually say it. He actually provided proof of that, which, like I said, we will get to in the very next segment, during his 1 o'clock segment.
Grooming event, you monster. Okay, so what is a drag queen? A drag queen is someone who dresses in a way you don't like. Are you insane? Are you insane? Why do you care how they dress? Why do you care? It has nothing to do with kids.
You should go.
Maybe we don't like the way you goddamn dress with your stupid dumb beanie, okay? So what is it? Oh, should we call you groomer, pedophile? And then say, oh, I know somebody should do something to stop Tim Pool. He's wearing a beanie. He's a monster. He probably molests little kids because of his stupid beanie.
God, I really do hope that this fool does eventually start an aspirin regimen because he is about to stroke the hell out.
Okay, we don't do that. Because unlike you, we're not trying to get people killed. Unlike you, we're not monsters.
2020 riots, all the death, all the destruction, of course. Okay.
Constantly attacking people who are gay and in the LGBTQ community. I'm sick of these right-wingers. Look at it. They're almost celebrating it. I mean, he nearly brought goddamn pom-poms to the shooting.
Listen, if you have problems with men dressing as women or men dressing in drag, first thing I would do as a right winger is I'd clean my own room, okay? Why don't you go have a conversation with Steven Crowder, who never misses an opportunity to dress as a woman,
Yeah, Steven Crowder will dress up as a woman from time to time. It's usually his most cringe stuff. Of course, he does it to troll libs. Steven Crowder also dressed up as Cenk Unger one time and ate I guess what was a representation of bacon grease to make fun of Cenk. He also did the same thing to Anna. Look, there are guys who dress up in dresses and whatnot. They're normally called high school kids. They had this thing called Switcheroo Day. We had it when I was in high school. I personally never partook in that, but then again, I was forced to wear one during a play of Anne Frank. Yeah, if I could find the picture, I may even post it as a bit of a self. But the thing is this right here. Steven Crowder's not a drag queen, okay, and he's doing this for comedic effect. And also something else too is that he's not around kids, he's not around children. He doesn't even really wear the makeup. And you actually look at him, he normally just wears like a wig and a dress. I mean, so once again, these people are completely out of touch.
have no problem with, but clearly he has an affinity for it. And you guys seem to think anyone who dresses in drag is somehow a groomer. So why don't you go have a conversation with your groomer buddy, Steven Crowder?
But the right wing are disproportionately groomers and pedophiles. So let's be super clear. I mean, let's talk about what do we know about the giant cases of pedophilia in this country. Number one is Catholic priests.
Okay, we'll do an actual study on Catholic priests because that's going to actually fuel the actual child molestation stuff. Don't worry, we'll be getting to that there soon. But I remember, I'm old enough to remember when Sinead O'Connor decided to have a meltdown on Saturday Night Live over this. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and just completely fight with you on this, but I think Cenk doesn't seem to understand something else too, because he likes to use this in the whole narrative of Christians as a whole. Not all Christians are Catholics. Okay, I'm not Catholic. Okay, there's several denominations. I'm Methodist, for example. Also, something else too, do we see more child molestation occurring with the LGBTQ community versus any other community? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there, okay?
One of the most conservative professions in America. Right-wingers, Republicans, Catholic priests. And they're always constantly talking about, oh yeah, a Catholic priest said that Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden couldn't have communion. Catholic priests are the best, they say. And meanwhile, they're the worst pedophiles in the entire country.
However, here's the thing that he's also missing too. A lot of times those same priests who say stuff like, well, this person's not allowed communion. Yeah, that's called the mainstream media elevating one person's opinion. I mean, it's very, very much a low IQ take here.
And the Boy Scouts, by the way.
Boy Scouts,
which
they
is
love the Boy Scouts.
Right wing compared to the Girl Scouts.
Nest of vipers. And
that was once again very dumb, seeing how there's a lot less cases in the Girl Scouts because they're typically around other women. I think it's a little bit harder for women to assault other young girls. I think it's a little bit hard to do that. And I mean, I have no idea what world you live in. There's also something else, too, that you have to consider when you're talking about, let's just say, organizations with small kids. What about teachers? What about the fact that teachers' unions, yeah, they like to cover this stuff up? I mean, how many times do we hear about an older woman, or a woman like in her mid to late 30s, screwing around with a 14 or a 15-year-old student? I mean, how many times do we hear about that? I mean, so, like I said before, this is going to be a project a little bit later on where we're actually going to be discussing the child molestation stuff, because I'm pretty sure this video is probably going to garner a lot of comments. And by the way, I mean, I just posted something last night on Twitter, and I got like 300 replies from a bunch of angry leftists who were upset that I brought this up, especially about the Facebook post. It's really interesting to see these people, let's just say these libs, defend these types of people who do this type of stuff.
Pedophiles and groomers, okay? And the right wing's like, yes, I love how they molest the little kids like that. Go get them, Boy Scouts. Go get them, priests.
I may clip that because it's so hilariously stupid that it may be in future videos.
Tell me I'm wrong. You guys love the Boy Scouts and Catholic priests. You never criticize them. Well, okay, Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, Donald Trump says he's a great friend of mine. He said, I know he likes them young. He said, I know he likes them young.
Donald Trump also, at the same exact time, ended the actual partnership. He ended the membership of Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, he actually ended that, all right? He did say he likes young girls. That's even in the Netflix documentary. But he was talking about 20 and 21-year-old girls. How many men don't like girls that are 20 and 21? He wasn't talking about little girls, little kids or whatnot. As I said before, he ended that actual agreement that he had to his membership at Mar-a-Lago. Also, in the case of Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump also ended a partnership with her back in 2004. So, once again, it's another thing that doesn't exactly hold any weight. Now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hold up here, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the Tim Pool segment and show you guys exactly what I was talking about at the very beginning of the video. But as you can see right here with this facial expression, just another idiot. It's online. By the way, once again, like I said before, this is just him making more and more noise over the fact that he only got 12,000 views on his election night live stream. I mean, TYT is a dying entity. One last point needs to be made about Cenk. Cenk's been selling a book for about 3 years now called Justice is Coming. That book is set for pre-order, and you know why it's set for pre-order? Because he hasn't frigging written it yet. Nobody is a bigger grifter, nobody is a bigger swindler than Cenk frickin' Younger. Let's go ahead and look at the Tim Pool segment. What it is that Cenk decided to have a meltdown over.
Now I'll tell you the scary prospect of what this story means, because I'm shocked at what I'm seeing across media and social media. The first thing, everybody recognizes that this is a horrifying and tragic story. A shooting in Colorado Springs inside a gay dance club, an LGBT dance club, Club Q. Now, we don't exactly have any confirmed motives or anything, and people are saying, wait, don't speculate, Tim. One thing I can tell you, though, is about an hour and a half before the shooting took place, Club Q posted on Facebook that they were going to be hosting an all-ages drag brunch the next day. An hour and a half after that, a man showed up with weapons and body armor and began shooting people, innocent people, and killing 5 people. Hate crime, murder, etc. The scary thing about this is that when I see this and I say something like, hey, this is really bad, a shooting like this should never happen, what do I see on social media? What do I see on these forums? There are people that are cheering it on. That scares me. These people at Club Q who were dancing, who were attacked, were not hosting an all-ages drag event, but the club was the next day. The response from people then is that these are groomers and pedophiles and other things like that. And the scary reality is the Antifa is showing up with rifles at these events, and people are protesting. The tension's escalating, and it looks like, I don't know how something like this gets resolved. I can only stress we need legislation. We need the police to shut these events down for a variety of reasons. But it's not.
I 100% agree with this. However, at the same time, if I tell you what really and truly needs to happen, I will be pulled from YouTube. Okay, you guys know my feeling on this right here. It's also the main reason why I told you guys before that a lot of these takes will be going on Rumble from now on as a result, but because of the fact that, hey, look, you can't talk about certain things online. Obviously, certain personalities can get away with this, but Tim is right. There needs to be actual honest-to-God legislation. However, that right there has got to be done at the state level. It's one of the main reasons why I tell people all the time, you got to vote at the state, local level first before you fix the federal level. Problems that got to be fixed from the bottom up. Just figure I'd throw that out there.
Happen. There's not going to be a shutting down of these events. There's not going to be a legislation. And if this is what happens, then I fear what will start to happen is more violence. How do we stop it? That's what I'm trying to find out. There's a guy, a journalist. Don't like him. He's a disinformation peddler. Nate Silver's calling him out. It's actually kind of funny. Nate Silver is calling out Ben Collins, who is a disinformation reporter, they call him. And it's because, Ben Collins insulted Nate Silver's forecasting models or something because he doesn't understand how they work. But Ben Collins is being called out because he went on MSNBC, I think it was MSNBC, and he says that he's written all of these stories about what they refer to as stochastic terrorism. He didn't say those words. He said he's written stories about how the rhetoric is increasing against LGBT people and things like that. I don't even know how to talk about this. I'm worried that this is how we see the ultimate breakdown. This is it. I didn't think it would be this issue. I thought it would be abortion or something. So I tweeted.
Talking about Civil War again.
A club announces they're going to be having an all-ages drag brunch. People are posting photos and videos of what goes on at these events, and it's horrifying.
Really quick, going back to those leftists that I had to answer back to, they kept on saying brunch. They didn't keep on saying show. Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you have a bunch of guys in drag, let's call them gay or whatever, and they're around a bunch of kids, and they're in an environment, which may be a bar or whatever, wouldn't that still be a drag show? Okay, that's how brainless these people are. Me personally, I think it's actually they're lying. They're completely dishonest. I'm just throwing it out there. This is another reason why I think that debate in this country is gone, because people are such bad actors.
Men walking around spreading their legs for children, males with fake breasts exposing them. There was the event, I think it was in Texas, where the big sign said it's not going to lick itself as they had little children running around. It's happening. It's really happening. People have begun protesting. In response to the protesting, leftist journalists like Ben Collins come out and say this is going to lead to attacks and violence. Bill Maher said that these people are attacking these clubs, these events. Then this.
Bill Maher's an idiot too.
Here's the, these posts on Facebook are back to back, okay? People are asking me why I posted this image. This is a single screenshot, not two different.
Let's prep for a fantastic Sunday fun day. Doors open at 11 a.m. for our noon all ages drag brunch. Join us for a fantastic drink special, even more amazing drag show. Now, guys, let me bring this up really quick, and we're not going to go too much further on this video, but let me go ahead and ask you guys a quick question. You see this right here, right? 11 a.m., correct? All ages. Okay, so obviously kids are being brought to be around a bunch of drag show performers, correct? Okay, then stick around for all the stars. Obviously, you guys see that. Join us for a fantastic drink special and even more amazing drag show. Now, what the hell does that tell you? That tells you that obviously there was a drag show with kids in mind. Also, something else too. It tells me there's a drag show with parents in mind because they're talking about drink specials. Would you be giving these drink specials to small children, or would you be giving these to idiotic parents who purposely try to destroy their children? Go back to what I said at the beginning of the video when I talked about the main reason why these shootings are occurring is because parents are not getting involved. They are allowing what? They are allowing the TV, they are allowing the video game to raise their child, and their child is being desensitized. They are automatically traumatizing their child because guess what? A lot of times childhood trauma does not get worked out until someone is in their late 30s or hell, even their early 40s. In some cases, occasionally their 20s. What the hell do you think you are doing with these kids who are like 5 and 6 and 7 years old? What the hell do you think you're going to be doing when they get to their late 20s or early 30s? They're probably going to hate their parents for exposing them. They're probably going to be a little bit confused. Why did my mama take me to this place? Why did my mama make me look at this guy in this drag garb? Why in the world did my father cheer this crap on? You see, this issue is the parents. As I've said before, only parents that are this freaking gone would do something like this, okay? And to go on top of what Cenk and Anna were saying earlier, only people without parents would cheer this type of nonsense or defend this type of nonsense. This whole thing stems back at the parents and what the hell is going on at home and what they are doing. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. I will leave the TYT segment in the description box, you guys, so that way you guys can laugh. Or maybe you might get mad. I will also leave the Tim Pool segment as well, so that way you guys can actually do full comparison and contrast. With that there being said, I'm going to go ahead and hop off this platform before I get a strike. I will see you guys later.